Good night. You do.
You looked the part.
Very snazzy.
Or Cindy.
I told her once.
Yeah. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you stand for the prayer? Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, and do by fear, not by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. And we respect the authority vested in us, but thou art the source of all authority. May we use it in our directives for the common good, for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Father, we call for-
Mr. Joyce,
Present.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Here.
Mrs. Mara,
Here.
Mr. Conrad,
Present.
Mr. Thompson.
Present.
Is there any public comment? Anyone who should address? Sorry. Turn the mic on.
Debbie King, Door Boulevard. I just have two questions. Excuse me. Number one, what is? And number two, is there anything we can do about the parking for the village use? You know, when there's parties and or men and women, I guess, work for the village on taking care of the center strip. It looks. Okay, thank you.
Vacation right away. Approving the vacation of right of way located in the village. Said right of way is currently located with village playground is now located and authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to submit all documentation necessary to formalize village of ownership of the property. We don't need.
Motion to table.
Yes, I would recommend
Yep.
table it.
Yep.
Based on the ODNR second street.
Okay, do I have a motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second it. Joyce seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Resolution 2025-19. Second reading is a resolution confirming the promotion of certain officers within Timberlake Police Department to declare an emergency. I believe, do I have a motion to suspend the rules? I so moved. Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Conrad seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye. Move to approve.
Thompson makes a motion.
Second.
Voting 3 tonight and appointing 2 new ones. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Resolution
Make motion?
Second.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Make a motion?
Second.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Second reading, okay. Yeah, absolutely. And he's also owner of Bullet Recovery's here. Okay, so. Next resolution 2025-22. Second reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to hire Officer Omar Roche as part-time patrolman for the Timberlake Village Police Department. Resolution 2025-23. Second reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to hire Officer Brittany Laverick as a part-time patrolman for the Timberlake Village Police Department. Resolution 2025-25. Resolution amending the permanent appropriations for the village of Timberlake, Ohio, for 2025 current emergency.
Make a motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Personal property. One resolution that's created late here on the agenda, resolution number 2025-27. Resolution authorizing the mayor, fiscal officer, and the chief of police to apply for the fiscal year FY 25 Cops Pay Week Program grant and declared emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend?
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, roll call please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
So moved.
No second.
Just this is some good work by Richard Schilling, Sarge, oh, there he is. Put together the narrative. We got a little bit of work to do on the budgeting and the numbers. But we'll work with the fiscal officer to round that out and hopefully apply and be successful in getting some funding to hire our chief full-time or pay for his salary. So it'll be a nice benefit to the village and save some money on our police expenditures.
Great, thank you. Roll call please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
You just get to do the reading and disposition of the minutes. Skipped over that in the beginning.
Reading this minutes, do I have a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes of April 22nd, 2025, please?
I'll move to approve.
Joyce makes the motion.
I'll second.
All right, seconds. Need correcting, discussion on it. Roll call please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Let's do promotions first.
Okay.
So if I could start, if I could have, I'll call him Sergeant Krebs. So Sergeant Krebs, I brought him in, let's say 6 months ago, actually 6 months tomorrow. I've asked him a lot out of him. He stepped up the game tremendously for the village and for the department, has added a lot of value to the department. And when I came up with an idea to restructure, to have a sergeant on each shift that can help manage the department with the new volume that we have in the department. He volunteered. Him along with Dwayne Dalton Webb have really come up with a lot of wonderful ideas for the department and to continue to look for new ways to improve it. So I've asked them to step up. I had all the officers open it up to all the officers to apply for the promotion. Out of all the everyone that applied, there's 3 individuals will be promoted tonight. So if I could have Sergeant Krebs up here along with his fiancee Melanie, I would appreciate it. Go over here.
Yeah.
Sergeant.
I don't know, let me shift as
We'll figure this out, right? Isaac Prince. Laws and ordinances. Village of Timberlake. Now faithfully, honestly, and impartially, discharge the duties of sergeant and sergeant of civil abilities and relations department, state of Ohio, through my continuous office, that's all we got.
Welcome.
Yeah. 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 Now, if I can have Sergeant Webb, along with his mother, Melissa. Come on up. So Sergeant Webb has a AKA nickname of the Spider Web. He seems like he's everywhere, no matter what the situation is. So Spidey, exactly. So today, Spidey Webb caught a solicitor, a bug man in the village. So I can't even tell you how many OBIs actually, I would tell you, over 12 OBIs since he started here. Multiple felony arrests, continued to really making the impact, coming to me with a bunch of good suggestions. So I can't speak highly enough on this young man. And as I've told all of our supervisors, I'm looking for the officers to replace me and us down the road. So we're looking for our future endeavors to take over everything. I'm going to be in Florida for the rest of my life. So I'll go. Exactly. So Mayor, if you'll help us with the honors, sure. I believe not. I do not have sounding swear, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution. I will support the Constitution of the United States, and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, the laws and ordinances of all the ordinances. United States, the village, and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties
Finally got you to smile.
Right, exactly. Sure, absolutely. We're taking a photo.
Ross. Eric.
Here. I'll stand in the back. Our next
Not gonna let-
motion.
Let
But, I guess-
papers inside.
Our next, let's go. Our next promotion is kind of a bittersweet one for me, because I've known this young man for 10 years. And I've watched him help, I guess, help him kind of grow a little bit more in the last years. We had an opening in the corporal.
Keep going and I'll take the other two.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Step up a lot over the last 3 or 4 months. Thank you for probably longer than that. Helping out anywhere he can. He's had a couple nice ODI arrests as well, before actually. So he's been very active and not only has a desire in the community, but also with, traffic enforcement, so. Brandon Lawrence is our new corporal for the police department. Okay. Where did you want, really? Let's go, Chris. Really? See where you left, son. Don't block the mirror.
Screenshot is 1, 2, 3. You're very welcome.
Brittany, you ready? Okay. Next, our next person.
Crap. Oh, sorry, wrong guy. Lawrence. Corporal Lawrence. Take that off, boss. We not suspended.
No, we got it.
Go back, do it.
Let's go back and do it. Yeah. Just 1 second. You gotta do something. Which one's that?
Are all three of them here? Just what we did.
Yeah, we only did-
We didn't suspend the rules on Brittany. So we have to suspend the rules.
So 23 and 22 and 20.
22 and 23.
No, she would never admit that.
We're back at resolution 22.
Okay, we're gonna be back in resolution 22.
So we actually need a motion to suspend the rules on resolution 22 or 2025-22.
Okay, so resolution 2025-22, resolution authorizing the mayor to hire Omar Shosh as a part-time patrolman for the Timberlake Village Police Department. Motion to suspend
I make a motion. I'll second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Resolution 2025-23, a resolution authorizing the mayor to hire officers.
So move.
I'll second.
Joyce seconds. Roll call.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
You got a motion approved 2025.
Move to
moved.
approve.
Joyce makes the motion.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
By the way, Brittany just gave birth, what, Saturday? Sunday. Monday. She was trying to come to the ranch on Friday, and I said, absolutely not. Because I'm not delivering a baby.
Yeah.
Oh, baby, absolutely.
Like riding a bike, chief.
Right.
Never forget.
Yeah, this I need a picture of right here. Hey, what's going on?
Timberlake Times, front page.
The day we caught the chief with an illegitimate child. All right, there we go. He's like, we'll take that.
Mayor?
Good, I'm good. No problem. Get stuff out.
Then we need precinct. Walk away and baby.
Let me sign something over here, Brittany, when you have the chance.
Thank you. Only 12.
Right.
Next but not least is Omar. Omar Trochet.
Yeah, that's right. All right.
Makes a village, they say.
Yeah.
Like, I've used that joke.
Anybody wanting cake? There's cake outside as well and some pizza as well. We're gonna finish our meeting. Or are you gonna sign a couple papers? Okay. Here's your packet. It's a lot.
Might-
It's really cool. Here's the back.
Sure.
That's the wrong bag.
Re-signature one. Frame it. Sure.
You can keep one of them. Yeah, you keep one. I'll take the other two. Thanks.
Gonna squeeze it like we like each other. What is that? I had some. One more thing.
One more thing. On behalf of the mayor and myself, we are thrilled, Road to the department, chief, you've done a great job. And we just wanted the mayor to ask me to make sure we did her. That's our new department. We're so happy with everybody that's been hired and promoted, that has made this place. God, guide them with their rock to life, wherever time may be. Grant them strength and force the courage and get them through their faith. We need someone who's standing with both the young and old, let them listen with attention for the stories. Let them never make a judgment in a rash or callous way, but let them hold their patience, let everyone have their say. God, from dark and dirty nights, their legs they must give. God, with your everlasting love, protect his family. Amen. God bless you, guys. Thank you.
Got the new babies.
Those ones are fine. You can get those. Yeah.
I said it's nice to see family that you can't.
Remember those days with these little ones, jeez, oh man.
Yeah, we still got a job to do. And earn our pay for the day.
Can you guys pose like that picture I asked you guys to? Step brothers.
Gavel.
Yep.
Gavels.
Thank you. Okay, next minute. Right, as far as for the village hall here, that's ongoing. I mean, the problem is we've had a very, very rainy spring, as you know, and mud and it just. There's nothing we can do unless we pave it and we're not gonna do that either. So the best thing is we just let them make a mess. We have to clean it up. I mean, there's no other way around it. So I wish there was a better way. Not on the set, but they're not allowed to come. Correct. It's supposed to be on. Private property. Right away.
And if you have really nice neighbors, maybe they'll let you park in there for.
No.
We know you.
All right. No, I have lots. This is the-
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things, this month. The first, we had a couple issues with the hall. One, I think we did resolve. I say, I think I spoke to them a number of times. I think that issue is, resolved. Another issue popped up this past weekend, which, we will deal with, this week and next week. Nothing major. We got some good news yesterday. I know Councilman Conrad's been working on project playground. Just yesterday, we ODNR, if everyone will recall, a months back, wasn't here at the April meeting, but months back, grant was conditioned on that playground parcel. But yesterday we got word that ODNR is, I don't want to say it's official, but going to consider waiving that requirement. So that's good news. The last issue that Mr. O'Leary and I have been, I guess I'll say, dealing with. So that issue. I'm thinking.
On their agenda. That.
Why?
Yeah, we've had some staff initiatives, something on the village hall, we either rented, the back of alcohol and. I spoken with the chief and I asked him that, they do get a calendar of all the events of the month. And on there, the two things to pick out, or if they want stove lit, then that goes to the service department, people they do that, and whether or not they need food. But at this stage of the game, my patience is wearing thin for people who say they will not have an alcohol in their party and bringing it in anyway. So I spoke with the chief and I just asked that whenever there's a party, whether it is alcohol or not alcohol, that the officer that's on duty at the time of the party just pops in, introduces himself, says, "Hi, and if you need anything, the door's right here, knock on it." At that time, they'll use their X-ray vision to go through the hall, looking and seeing what they see, and no alcohol, and that's the end of it. So I'm hoping with the help of the police department, with that little bit of peek in the door, it will detail a lot of the stuff.
We will be doing it ongoing.
I didn't.
Forgot to mention, I don't.
I thought that officer. Allegedly, it could have been it could have been a difficult situation, and I thought that officer, whoever it was, used common sense and handled that situation perfectly. Because it could have been worse when people are drinking, people are told no, it could get, there's a great chance to thought he used his head, he or she, so chief, thank you, well done, whoever it was.
Sergeant Krebs. So quick phone call to him.
Well done.
Quick phone call to him and said, "Hey, peek in there real quick." And we were talking the entire time. So
That guy needs a promotion.
yeah. Right.
All right, it's been thank you, Mayor. It's been a busy month, so I'll try to rapid fire this at you guys and save all the time for the chief so he can have a longer session than me. So we had a contractor for the EPA out for a site visit. So myself, the mayor, and thankfully Steve from service joined us. It was a big help. I know he had been sick previous to that, had some back issues, but he was out there and walked the whole village with us. So thanks to Steve on that. So we walked the whole village with AECom, the contractor for the EPA, and kind of saw the condition of the pipe in the ground that could be seen above ground, as well as the different types of catch basins and the issues that we experience here in the village. Pointed out some areas of flooding, and then we just had a follow-up meeting yesterday. I was on a call with the EPA and the contractors for that, so they put together the plan from the site visit. And there will be another crew coming out, a field crew, to put in flow monitors, pole cameras, really understand some of the areas that we don't know. There's some connectivity that we are unsure where it goes. So the whole intent of this is to make a sewer master plan, recommendations of what we can do to improve it. And with that EPA technical assistance master plan, we then can apply for funding through the state revolving fund, which is low interest loans, try and accommodate some of the big projects that will need to be undertaken to improve our sewer system, mitigate some flooding that occurs. I shouldn't say some of it, mitigate all the flooding that occurs, and kind of get our system where it needs to be, upsize some pipes that are all undersized, try and get a handle on the issues that we all feel with our storm sewers. So that was a great visit. Meeting went well, so that'll continue. I think the final report's due next June, so it'll be a little bit of time. We'll do some hydraulic monitoring, digitization of some of our old plans. The one thing we're looking for is the previous master sewer plan that was done in 2006, a little under 20 years ago by CT Consultant, trying to get those CAD files, but I feel they may be lost to age. So if we can get those, that'll help the EPA to it's not a little quicker, but if not, we'll just have to re-image everything, create a new copy of that master plan. So that'll continue to go on throughout the year. That's that. Yay. We did receive authorization from ODOT for Dantis, formerly CT Consultants. I got authorization, funds were encumbered. First phase of sidewalk design, so that'll be environmental design review. So we're going to find proceed with that phase of the project. So we should be hearing some more about that in months. Starting next for the surveyors and not sure when they'll be here, but I see them out and about. And then one thing the EPA will go needs to go here, so we'll notify chief of the hearing. They'll have their vests and trucks that say AE. So just a word to the public that we'll have some visitors both for the storms and sidewalks. I want to thank Mr. Killing again, Sarge, for his help with the COPS grant. Great job on the narrative. As I mentioned, as we pass this resolution authorizing the mayor, the fiscal officer, and the chief to apply, we'll work with that process. Actually, it's submitted. Hope we're successful. Really help us with our fiscal health. Given this department everyone need. NatureWorks grant. I want to thank Spiros for running around a bit there. I know in even my short conversations with the recorder and then tax map, it's quite a complicated process that could get a bit testy if we vacate it. Technically, it goes to the two properties next to it, dispute, and thankfully that could made that obligation. That's great news. Finally started the project of upgrading swing set. Perfect time. That was the mayor was just there, and for the chains were broken, so it takes the swings out of service. So we're down to two swings on our swing structure. Now we'll have to decide if we want to get new chains for that. Once it's there, out in front. So the project will be up pretty much. Probably. So, other thing is the EPA salt grant that we received for the new salt shed. So myself and the mayor, look at options there, discuss getting aesthetically pleasing salt shed instead of the standard cement frame, metal dome, steel master. We gotta run some numbers and see what options are out there for that. Work towards that. And then just wanted to touch on the mayor had forwarded message from two residents, yes, Edith and Jake Garver at 15 Minnewawa. They have some young children there at that triangle, and there's two stop signs, and then the Shawandasi coming around to Minnewawa. That's through traffic. Concerned about cars going a little too fast. It's a blind spot, so the kids can't see, the cars can't see. So we're gonna move the speed sign from Lakeshore with the slow children at play and place it in that area. Hopefully ease the traffic there and slow down the group as they go through. Give those kids a safe place to play in the front yard and make sure everyone's going at the right speed through the village. And then one other quick thing I wanted to put before council, and we could discuss it more if needed. I know 2 officers. Chief, can you remind me who it is? Going down to the memorial.
Brandon Lawrence, and Officer Brandon Cubes, 2 Brandons,
Okay.
actually.
Brandon.
Just
So they're taking their own time out to go down and represent the village. They'll be in village uniforms and supporting a good cause. So I wanted to ask council, if we could potentially pass a resolution to pay them for 2 hours of their time or whatever it may be, like we've done previously. When Sergeant Brown's not in here, went down to the funeral for the one officer that unfortunately passed in Euclid. I think it's, a way of us showing our gratitude to our officers for being out there in the community, showing a good presence for the village, and supporting good causes and especially during the whole month, police.
just a
Appreciation
week,
Month.
Police Memorial Week.
Just a week?
Yep.
Oh, that's a shame. Police Memorial Week. I just wanted to bring that up and we can discuss it after everyone's reports. But
7 minutes, pretty good.
Well, speaking of community policing, we were in Crowley's the other day for lunch, and we noticed that the Kirtland Police Department has a patch up on the wall, and conspicuously missing was Timberlake, and East Lake and others. But we think that Timberlake belongs up there, and so if I can arrange with the chief to get a patch that we can ask them to display, I think that would be appropriate. It was a good lunch, by the way. Thank you, John, for putting together the tree report in terms of our expenditures. Being Irish, I don't like to kick sleeping dogs. And, we had 2 years in a row where we had 100-year storms. So I'm hoping that this year will not be a repeat of that. I don't see, John did some historical collection of data going back to 2019. So we have 5 years of historical data and then 1 year of budgeted data for this year. In 2019, we spent $9,700. In 2020, $8,600. 2021 was not a good year. We spent $19,000, but 22, we were back to 6,900 again. 23 and 24, we spent 1,700 or 17,000 and 23,000, almost 24,000 respectively, which is why we set up an appropriation for this year at $22,000. Now, a small portion of that is payroll and retirement and Medicare and so on. But the biggest chunk of that money is on outside contracting services. And I'd like to report today that even though we're in the month of May, almost 5/12 of the way through the year, and if I were some wood, I would knock on it, but we have spent 26.28% of our appropriated budget for this year. So I also realize that July, August are really the target months. If we get through that, I'm going to feel pretty good, but so far so good. And thanks, John, for putting this together. That's it.
I don't have anything to report for the Public Safety Committee, but I did have a couple follow-up questions. Ryan, our speed sign, are we seeing an impact? Is it having an effect, do you think?
Oh, 100%. The average rate, and we did not renew the cloud service, so the data that is derived from it is, there might be a way to get it manually and pull it down to the computer. We opted to not upgrade or renew the cloud service. It's like $500 a month by multi-years. discount. But based on the data that we did have at the time, I think the average speed decreased about 5 to 7 miles per hour. My memory serves correct, but it 100% made an impact. And then recently, we've had more police activity, which I think is
Right.
even
I was
further
gonna
had
ask
an
the
impact.
chief if are you seeing, cause but it's almost been 6
It's-
months now. Are you seeing?
It's still, we still get our speeders. People still don't believe it. So, you know, we have them out there clocking and it doesn't make a difference and they're still up there in the I parked up there the one day and I still had cars doing 49 past me sitting there and I'm like, really? I just didn't want to write the ticket at the moment. I'm like, I got too much other paperwork to do. So my luck, it would end up in an arrest and then I'm gone for the next 3 hours.
Right.
But no, unfortunately, they still do. They still come through, even though the word's out everywhere. Some people say we stop them for 3 miles an hour over, but we're still seeing the speeders. Not as high as 68 anymore, so which is good.
All right.
I think the average rate has come down, but I don't think you're ever gonna stop speeders.
No.
No matter how much you enforce it.
Correct.
Even like the speed cameras on 271 that Willoughby Hills has that sends tickets, you know, people get 20 tickets from that thing and just
Correct.
keep on speeding. So I think it's had an impact on those that are reasonable to it,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of revenue that could be paid.
Another discussion.
That's it. Thank
I just want to comment about what I'm on the hall committee, and I'm probably not the oldest. I mean, not the oldest, but the oldest.
Longest service.
Longest
would you like to say?
serving.
Yeah.
Say, when it comes to the hall, when they don't like what she has to say, they call the hall committee with people. At the mayor's house, so when there's alcohol party, and unfortunately, and I'm having this because you have someone in your family who's an officer, be the officer at the party. We hear this request all the time. And I've heard it for the last, how many years, 5 years, 6 years. It doesn't work that way. And people say, wow, things like, can make a exception right now, I know it'll be okay, and it's not. It's not, we get in a predicament all the time, like, when we get a feeling they're gonna try to get past us, the feeling's gonna be right. This is the second time, the last 6 months, 3 times, the last 6 months. And we're less expensive than even halls, right, than other party halls, or those our officers.
Right.
Correct. So thank you for such a great job on it, but it is what it is. And someone said, well, what if the mayor's there? You know, we're going to have a party like next year. I said, when are the mayor's there? We don't have a party that we're going to have next year, and we have to have a cop. So I get a little frustrated how, I can see if you're new to the village maybe, but when, people say, well, back in the day, I'm like, well, back in the day is not now. That's what I have to say about that. And the parking is the parking. It's frustrating with parties. I know it's, frustrating, but we have talked before. They almost came at me with pitchforks in Horsham one year when we talked about paving over by that other island, make more parking, for everybody, and everybody wants more green in Timberlake and less pavement. So I wish we could do something about the parking during parties too, because it looks bad when we fix the rocks and become somebody fixing them. But I would think we could do something about that too. Secondly, I'm getting a lot of complaints about boats, trailers, campers, and garbage cans. Once again, it's the ordinance that I can't change, they're in there. People tell me, they'll be there 2 or 3 days. Okay, I believe you, but then when it's back, 4 or 5, 6 days, I don't want to have to follow the police and say, can you go cite these people or talk to these people? But this is summertime in Timberlake. And summertime in Timberlake, these problems will go on, but I would just think everybody, a new neighbor who doesn't know, just tell the new neighbor the ordinance. Instead of having, a sort of debate with them or fight with them, let them know we have the ordinance about the trailers and boats and campers and things of that nature. So I know you're allowed to bring your boat in and refuel after 24 hours, right? Refuel, refurbish, 48 hours. And then it should go back out again. So, that's what I have to say about that. And then, there's some more things about summertime. Oh, even when I was in Euclid yesterday, they had a big sign: violations going out for high grass. Middle of Euclid. So it's early spring right now, or early, yes, it's early summer, early spring, right? I know it's early, but if you have a neighbor that needs some help, maybe we could all pitch in, help the neighbor have some grass. I know the deer, right, baby deer and other animals now in the grass. I don't know, Chief, do we have any animal control people that you recommend out here in this area? We don't really, Lake County doesn't come out.
No, we have, that's one of the things we need to do, and Kevin and I were talking about that the other day on Friday, so something we have to look into for that. We have now access, if we have to put one down to take the carcass away, so we have that. But if it's a live one, we need to work on that.
I thought we had a company at one time, and that company's no longer in business. So I don't know if we, where she looked at that, but thank you, like something to do. There was, first one was a raccoon that you guys had to put down, correct? Because the raccoons.
Correct.
And the other day I got a call about 2 raccoons in someone else's front yard, they knew where the mother was. And they wanted me, no, there was somebody else. There was somebody else with 2 raccoons in the front yard, babies. And they said, what should I do? And I said, well, call animal control, but right now, the person that I called at one time, they're no longer in business. So that would be at the cost to the resident. We would have any
Correct.
contract. So, we will look into that, but high grass does promote animals bedding down. That's my point, that's why I brought that up. So, the more you do the grass cut, the less bedding down in our backyard. And no deer feeding, please. That's another one that just came up, where people feeding deer and the deer bring in everything else that comes up, including itchy dogs. And that's my report. Thank you.
You, Mayor. Adding on to what Nancy said about the weather changing. I know we have a tic-tac-toe panel and bongos for the park, so it'd be real nice if the service department can get on that and get those installed so we can enjoy them sometime soon. I know my family looks forward to using those, so. Also, we are still experiencing loose dogs within the village. I want to talk about this a little bit more. This has been an ongoing issue. My family alone witnessed 3 loose dog incidences just within a 2-week period. So I'm sure there's a lot more than that we're not, personally witnessing. We have a lot of dog owners in Timberlake, so of course accidents are bound to happen. It's important that we have some patience and understanding for our neighbors. If our own dog got loose, she's well trained, but anything can happen. We would be distraught looking for her, hoping she's not hurt. So the last thing we would want to do is face a punishment, if that were to happen. And to our police department's credit, they have received many complaints, but have exercised restraint with issuing citations in such instances. So we all acknowledge accidents happen, but when the dogs are chronically getting loose, like from one household in particularly, a couple households, then it becomes a problem. Not only for the safety of fellow villagers, but also for the dogs. They can be stolen or hit by a car. It's even worse when people let their dogs loose deliberately, which has happened a couple times recently. Even if you believe your dogs are not aggressive towards people or other pets, you just never know with animals. Your dog might get aggressive if it comes into contact with a child who possesses food. Your good dog might come into contact with a very aggressive, dangerous dog. I think it's great for dogs to be able to play and run free. And if you don't have a fenced yard for that, there's a public dog park right down off Lakeshore in Eastlake. A couple notes on that. The Timberlake PD has been receiving complaints about dogs or otherwise on their Facebook page. The chief can expand on this when it's his time to filibuster. But our chief has requested that people who see an active problem call Central Dispatch. That way there is a record that could be used to show a pattern of occurrence in court if it ever came to that. Also, it's important to remember that Timberlake has a quasi-public beach behind Village Hall. I'm glad Mr. O'Leary's not here. He'd probably roll his eyes just talking about it. But dogs also must be leashed there as well. The surrounding plots of sand are private property. So, your dog can't run free on the beach either. That's private property. And so I think Nancy had a
My dog would nip at a German Shepherd in a heartbeat because he nipped a Doberman before. The Doberman was wise enough just to leave, like a little pipsqueak. But I thought maybe it was 2 dogs, because we're in a pack situation, come after my dog, because my dog was startled. So, and he came up from the beach, so the person was on the beach, and then they called the dogs down. Now, on the beach, but my house is pretty far up, so these dogs had to travel, both of them took to travel to be, you know, just to be inquisitive. They didn't seem to be mean, but
Right.
my dog is defensive because it's older and smaller and it wouldn't have.
Yeah. And even a well-behaved dog, if those dogs came into contact with a not so nice dog, they could get into a fight because those dogs will think they're defending themselves. But it's the good dog's owner who's in the wrong for letting them run free in the first place, you know, not the defensive dog that's on its own property. So, you know, once again, there's a dog park, fence in your backyard, you know, I mean, um, you know, I'm the least citation happy person here on council probably as far as these domestic things go like this, but safety I take seriously, you know, safety. I don't care much about boats or trailers or garbage cans. I understand we have ordinances, but those are not my thing. It's treating everybody fairly and equally with parcel A, and also safety with loose dogs. And we know we love dogs. We have a dog ourselves, but you know, there can only be so many friendly warnings to people who are chronic repeaters of these. But other than that, that's all I got.
Our general fund ending balance through April 30th is at $527,779. Our monthly revenue for April was $59,507 versus expenditures of $55,782 for a net surplus for the month of $3,725. Expenditures were in line with expectations and reflected mainly increases in personnel costs and contractual items year over year. April 2025 is not comparable to April 2024 revenue-wise due to the timing of the receipt of the real estate settlement last year. It was late by 1 month last year. At this time, at current rates of revenue and expenditures, we estimate a surplus for the general fund this year of approximately $160,000. Other significant fund activity and miscellaneous. We received an additional $1,725 from the Ohio Attorney General for reimbursement of continuing education into our Law Enforcement Professional Training Fund 2903, and that's what that amended appropriation resolution was for. We also issued 2 deposit refunds totaling $200 out of Fund 9901, our Hall Deposit Refund Fund. And our agreed upon procedure audit is currently being conducted by Charles Harris and Associates. They are a third-party IPA contracted by the state of Ohio, and they should be done soon. That's all I have.
I'll try to be really short this time, so can't make any promises. Well, tomorrow is actually kind of a big day. Tomorrow is 6 months since you guys put me into this position, so I hope I surpass. Thank you. You know, truthfully, what I want to really say is each and every one of the officers has really stepped up, from Detective Clarich. You know, I have him on task, and he's given Mr. O'Leary multiple stuff for destruction purposes, for forfeiture. And so there's a lot of work behind the scenes that has to be done. I mean, he goes to the crime lab on a regular basis to submit evidence because there's a lot of work. So that's what he's doing up behind the scenes. From Rich Schilling, we spent probably 3 hours last week talking to the guy from the state of Ohio for grants. Gave us a lot of great ideas on additional grants we can put in for. So you bet yourself we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to put a lot of grants on there. From Alicia Nagy with the Benefit Association. She blows up my phone probably, I'm not gonna say daily, but once a week, talking about, you know, things that she wants to do. They're organizing a bowling event for the community with all of our officers as well. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to really do to be part of that. Officer Lawrence, now Corporal Lawrence, I should say, not officer, I apologize, truly has stepped up on so many different levels. You know, take me 20 minutes to do it. I'm not going to spend my time working on that. But some of the notable things next week, I kind of asked for a donation from different chiefs of police. So next Wednesday, I have to figure out a way to go meet somewhere close to Sandusky to pick up 19 tasers that were donated to our department. So every officer will be equipped with their own personal taser going forward. So which is going to be a huge gift to us on that. Still working on the vehicles. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make that work through hopefully grants and some other creative abilities. So far, they're running, they're working well. Let's see us. VR goggles will be installed. We'll have all the software installed tomorrow down in Kent. So again, we're running all over the place, trying to get things done. What other notable things? Both vehicles are running. A lot of training coming forward. Officer Lawrence and, Corporal Lawrence and Sergeant Webb will be going through field training organization, officer training. So we're going to be putting together a field training program finally for the first time, all documented with, of course, Lieutenant Brown helping out in that aspect as well. So again, we had our first range this past Friday. It was a hot one. We had it at Lake County. The Sheriff's Department said we were going to make the Sheriff's Day by seeing our name out there, that we actually showed up. And great facility by all means. Anybody that attended, beyond belief of how wonderful a facility is. Plus, it's free. So I volunteered to bring hot dogs and hamburgers next time and some cigars. So we're going to go probably spend a day shooting again. And what a wonderful day. Every officer shot very well. Rich helped out. We had officers from Thompson Police Department that came out there and Fairport Harbor as well. So they were impressed with, and even they said the turnaround in Timberlake has been monumental. Stats for the month continue to be over 350 calls for service, 127 traffic stops, numerous arrests, OVIs. Officer Webb and Officer Sergeant Webb and Sergeant Krebs both had 2 more individuals transported by ICE. So we continue to make steps to improve the village and the safety. So we're gonna be working with Ryan a lot on a lot of grants. So a lot of work, and Rich and I started digging into policies and procedures, and that was a mess. I was actually hopeful, and then after every chapter we read, we're like, this is not good. This is not good. This is irrelevant. This doesn't make any sense. I mean, there was a point in there, if it said, God forbid, one of our officers get involved in an officer-involved shooting, that we were going to investigate it ourselves. And I'm like, oh, no. I can tell you right now, BCI is going to be out here and the Lake County Sheriff's going to be out here. You'll see a lot. Wait, we have a detective now, correct? And he's not defective. He's also volunteered to play Santa Claus. Actually, I volunteered him, but right. So we are really, trying to get in there. I mean, where I hope to be with the policies, it could probably be a few months back, and we're going to really start hitting this hard. The goal is with the new sergeants and really trying to develop, and we'll take a little bit off my plate so that I can focus on the things that need to get done on some of these things. So all in all, I mean, each and every officer from, every single officer makes a difference. Those that don't make differences are leaving. We had the departure of Fred Beverly as corporal, and Brandon Lawrence took his position. So we have some new tasks assigned to Officer Corporal Lawrence. So again, I can say this much: I'm very pleased every single day. I enjoy hearing from them. To talk regards to Kevin, yes, if there's issues in the village, you can text me, but make sure you call dispatch so we can have a record of this. So going forward, that if I need to prosecute someone for a dog, you're going to get a ticket, and I'm going to say why. You're going to get a ticket. I just got a text from Spidey Webb. He said that bug guy's out in the neighborhood again. And I can tell you this much: he will get a nice misdemeanor citation of the 3rd degree if he's back in his village. He might even take a trip to the jail and get a quick bond out, and he'll be gone. Again, we're trying to make an impact. We communicate a lot through text messages within the department, a lot of training opportunities, more and more training opportunities. We have another range coming up on May 30th in Cleveland. We're using Cleveland's range for free. May 31st is our OVI checkpoint. So it's going to be, again, we're trying to make mounds and mounds of improvement. So I thank you to the council's support. I thank you for backing us on every aspect I've asked, not flinching, we're trying to be cost effective. But as I told Kevin and Ryan, I'm looking forward for the future for the next 20 years. I'm not looking for just today. I want to make sure that we're set in stone everything's good for once I'm gone and whoever steps up to the plate, but these guys continue to step up, guys and gals step up, and I'm beyond impressed, and I'm honored to be able to call myself the chief. But as I tell them, I said, they're the ones doing the work and making us a better village every single day. So thank you to all of them. And that's all I have to say. So
They, you have one resident here, to any and all residents who are watching this on YouTube or listening to it or whatever. When a solicitor for the bugs came to a resident's home, not only did they talk to this lady, but then he asked to use her bathroom.
oh no.
So, if you see somebody on, a
Segue.
hovered thing.
Segue.
Segway going around with a clipboard and this, that, and the other, or just walking, or if you see a car, let two people out and they're knocking on doors, that it's not allowed to be done in Timberlake. And we don't know who these people are unless our residents see them, call dispatch, and the police will find out who they are, what they're doing here, and ask them to nicely leave once. And the second time could not be as nice. So all the residents in Timberlake need to know that you basically can't trust anybody nowadays, number one. But it's your safety that we want for everybody. So if you see something, say something.
Agreed on that.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, and there is a process for solicitors to become approved solicitors in the village, right? There's a process in place to get a permit to do it, so we can check into the company, make sure it's a reputable company. They're not going to swindle anyone. They're not dangerous or criminals, right? It's that type of thing that we're trying to protect against. And numerous people, myself included, told them, you can't be here. Better go, I'm calling the police. And that's what I did. And they got him, and then he's back again. So that's just flippant to, the request of the police department, of the council, of the mayor. I get guys trying to make money doing it for a living. I'm all about grassroots and going door to door. But there's a process that we have to follow to ensure the safety of our residents. And that's the intent of it. And then to the chief's point, can we use Lexapol for the policies and procedures? Isn't that a free?
It is. That's what
Okay.
that's what we're using. So,
Okay.
it's a kind of a lengthy process. When I got into it, I contacted Lexapol and they're like, oh, you guys are all done. And I'm like, no, we're not. I said, nothing's been approved by, our law director as a solicitor, as well as our safety committee and our safety director. So now we actually have to kind of bring them off what we have, bring them in, make all of our edits, then submit it back out, get approval. So once we do that, and there's like 1,300 pages that we got to go through. It's a lot of it that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And there's a lot of hierarchy with a defective sergeant out on the right side. So there's a lot of things that we have to fix.
Okay.
So but yes, Lexapol is wonderful because every time an officer logs in, I can see who logs in, who reads the policy, when they read it. So it's a great system and it's free through the sheriff's department. So absolutely. I like free. So, me, I always try to get things for free, including the Humvee, which we still like to discuss one day.
Yes, bring it on. And I do want to give the chief and the department, Schilling and others, credit. I mean, the amount of correspondence back and forth trying to get grants. I think we get a text every day from the chief about a police vehicle and some deal he's trying to work out. And it's incredible to see, him in action, trying to do what's the best interest of the village, not only for the police department, but for, being fiscally responsible while doing so. So can't say enough credit. And I know you're out there trying to get the best deal possible. So I just wanted to say thank you.
I just want to follow up on the permit issue. Yeah, they have to apply for permits in our ordinances. They have to come to the mayor. And actually, I had a solicitor come to our door. And he came there and asked for a permit. It's in my car. Oh, you don't got it. Yeah, it's in my car. I go, no, because you have to give it to me. Well, that's when he'll call. I called right away. He was already out. I mean, he was on the site when he was gone. So again, catch him fast enough. But again, they're coming back. They're bringing other guys back. So
He's being nice, he just berate the guy.
I wasn't very kind either because it was right after your experience.
Yes, it's still, where's your permit? He just said, I don't have one, I would say, you need to get one, obviously, but if you slide and say no, now you're gonna.
Agreed.
So, anyway, moving on to, building property management. Very great, to me, says there were 2 driveway permits, 2 window permits, 1 roof permit, 1 drain permit.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Murrah, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
There's cake here, please.
Mike's on.
It's on. It's on. It's on Lakeshore Boulevard. It's on Lakeshore Boulevard.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. Yep.
That was the one. You take it off there in the fall and mount it on the temporary part. And that's how we're going to do it. So we'll be moving it from Lakeshore to that temporary part. And while we're on that. Correct.
That is the village, inside the village. No, I'm just messing with you. We often get forgotten on Lake Shore.
Don't feed the deer. Oh. And when we have high grass, the deer bed down, raccoons bed down, that's so that we, you know. Yeah. What we call.
911.
The officer for water discovery is an ordinance, right? That doesn't mean it gets cited, but. Maybe the officer could just go out and visit them. I mean, people are doing this out of the goodness of their own heart, but this is where it all begins with deer being abandoned, other deer being hit, and then we have an animal control problem, who's gonna pick up the dead deer and dispose of the deer, et cetera. Instead of putting up a fence if you have a dog, I just have them up on the lawn. Right.
Visible fences, yeah. As far as I know, there was a case within the village a few years back. And someone might have been incorrectly cited by having their dog off leash in their property. It was in their front yard. And I believe that is allowed. You're allowed to have it. And I mean, if you're taking a risk that your dog's gonna run off. But if your dog is off leash in your yard on your property, I believe that's okay, from what I have heard. Yes, sir?
Just because I'm familiar with this, I've cited people for dog issues. I believe the ordinance, if it didn't change, that was your last time, it says on a leash or in your control. So if that dog runs out of the yard, it's not in your control.
Right.
If it's running around in your yard, not on a leash, and it doesn't leave the yard.
Right.
The ordinance.
And you never know. It could
So
have
an
been-
invisible fence,
Yeah.
even if you just have a well-trained dog.
Right.
It stays in your yard.
Right.
It's in your control.
Right.
Oh, that was quicker than 3 minutes, Debbie. That was well done.
That's my understanding.
It says on a leash or within your control.
That's my understanding.
Right, right. So in your yard, it can be off the leash, but the second it leaves your yard.
Exactly.
It's obviously, you didn't have control of it.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Thank you.
1 more minute.
I feel it's gonna be bad. Sorry, it will.
Anything else in the car?
I wanted to make one thing that it was, police week last week, and we did bring, he brought the police donuts, but Kevin was trying to deliver them, but you couldn't deliver them because.
Okay, so So I went to Biagio's and I got 24 donuts for our officers in appreciation to them before Police Memorial Week. And I came back and I was like, all right, well, we have one, typically there's sometimes they're training and stuff, but most of the time we have one officer on duty. So I'm like, all right, it can't be too hard to find. I'm gonna drive around the village until I find him. So I'm looking, I go to the village hall and officer is not there. Drive around, officer's not down by the playground, drive up on, up Waban to Lakeshore. There's our officer pulling someone over. Of course, it's Officer Webb. So I snapped a shot and I messaged the other council members and I said, I would love to give Officer Webb these donuts if he could stop pulling people over for 2 minutes. So, yeah, it was great. And I found him afterwards. He started doing rounds around the village and I pulled him over and I said, hey. Yeah, he had never had Biaggi. He said he's heard of them. I was like, you're in for a treat. So this needs to last at least a couple shifts, okay? So
And it just so happened, it was right after I had left for the day.
You don't like donuts, right?
Not,
Right, Simone, that'd be all gone.
not it just so happens.
Right, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I'm having the detective look into this case.
Chief, there are no coincidences.
Right, exactly. I would have liked a donut with my coffee. True, oh, look,
We're thinking of you.
thank you.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Murrah, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Looking for this cake and pizza.